What is going on, everybody? It's JetsCentral coming back with a full New York Jets 7-round mock draft. Now, this is something I really want to do for quite some time now, and I finally put all the pieces together. By that, I mean watch enough tape on the later round guys to get a good idea on how they will transition to the pros. More importantly, how they will transition if picked by the New York Jets. And I've kind of gotten a decent idea on where each prospect is going to fall, which round 7, 6, 5, all that good stuff. So, real quick before I start the 7-round mock, I just want to say one thing. I want to clarify one thing. And I'm not going to do this New York Jets homer mock draft where I say, like, Sam Darnold's going to be the 3rd pick, Saquon Barkley's going to be a 3rd-round pick, Bradley Chubb's going to be a 4th-round pick. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing realistic, or I hope realistic scenarios where I can see the New York Jets actually selecting these guys based off of team need, based off of system fit, and the current grade that they have on the prospect. So I'm pretty excited to jump into this whole thing. And as I said, it's a full 7-round. I'm not doing every single pick in the draft. I'm just doing the Jets picks. So the first, I got all the picks right here, and the first one is round 1, pick 3. Obviously, everyone knows we traded up from 6 to 3 to snag a quarterback. And in this one, I have the New York Jets selecting quarterback Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma. I think this pick is 100% going to be a quarterback. So you have to start asking yourself, which out of the big 4 is it going to be? I think you take a look at Josh Rosen, and I think his durability might be in question. I think the New York Jets front office might sit there and say, if Todd Bowles is wasting timeouts in the 3rd round, is Josh Rosen going to go to Twitter? Is he going to call Todd Bowles out in the media after the game? I think you take that and you mix it with his durability issues. Is this guy healthy enough to play 16 games year in, year out? I don't think the New York Jets feel comfortable with that. And then I think you turn your heads to Josh Allen, obviously a crazy prospect, a polarizing guy to say the least. Huge boomer bust ratio, and I don't think the New York Jets want to wait. I think the front office probably likes the tools that Allen has, but I think Josh Allen, this guy might be ready to the whole coaching staff could be fired by the time Josh Allen could be ready to play. I don't think the Jets want to take that risk. I really don't. And then Sam Darnold, I don't think he's going to be there at 3. I think the Browns are going to take him at 1. But even Darnold has some questions, turnover problems, mechanical problems. Can this guy thrive in New York? I don't know. So I think you look at Baker Mayfield and you sit there and you say to yourself, this guy has the attitude to play in New York. I think he has the leadership skills for this team. He has an above-average arm, and he's had a lot of success at the college football level. He's accurate. He has a nice touchdown-INT ratio. He's a smart quarterback on the field. He's not going to throw 27 picks a season. He only threw 6 last year at Oklahoma. So I think Baker Mayfield will be the pick here. Not to mention Baker Mayfield also fits Jeremy Bates' West Coast system like a glove. The short passing, rhythm, getting Baker outside of the pocket, building off of the run game. We just brought in Crowell for that. So Baker Mayfield as the pick at spot number 3. So, as everyone knows, we traded up from 6 to 3, and we gave up both 2nd-round picks that we had. So, our next pick is round 3, pick 8. It's number 72 overall, and I'm going defensive lineman out of Alabama, DeShawn Hand. Now, this is a guy who was formerly the number 1 high school recruit, and we all know Mike McFadden loves his highly regarded high school players. You take a look at Bryce Petty, Christian Hackenberg, Jamal Adams, all these, Marcus May, Leonard Williams, all these guys were really highly regarded in high school. And I've kind of noticed a trend throughout the years of Mike McFadden's drafts. He likes the highly recruited high school guys. Going into college. So DeShawn Hand was a 5-star guy, obviously committed to Alabama, had some time playing as a true freshman under Nick Saban. And this is a guy who I think is talented enough that could fit into a 4-3 or a 3-4. And in Todd Bowles' system specifically, I think he could be a defensive end. Maybe fill the role that Muhammad Wilkerson has left. So I like Hand a lot. I do think he can start as a rookie, but I think it's really what it's going to come down to is his want for the game, his want to be great. So hopefully pairing him up with the Jamal Adams, pairing him up next to a Leonard Williams and a Steve McClendon, maybe that could get that drive going a little bit. Not saying this guy doesn't like football or anything like that, but I'm just saying that's the reason, excuse me, why he fell to round 3 is, does he want it? And he had that off the field problem. I remember, I think it was back in July, he got arrested. I think he was like asleep at the wheel or something like that. But this guy could go round 2, round 3. In this scenario, I have him going top end of the 3rd round, falling to the New York Jets. So next up, we have round 4, pick 7. So again, pretty high up in the 4th round, and it's pick 107 overall. And I'm selecting tight end Ian Thomas out of Indiana. Now, this is a guy who I think can be a draft day riser. This guy could go way earlier than round 4, but Ian Thomas is a guy that I kind of discovered lately, or watched more of his tape lately, and I'm really, really, really impressed. I think this guy is a top 5 tight end in this draft class. Do I think Goddard is better? Yeah. Do I think Gesicki could be better? Yeah. But overall, Thomas, I like his ability to stretch the field down the seam. I think you need to give Baker Mayfield a tight end to throw to, a security blanket. I think sitting at round 4, if you could get a guy like Ian Thomas, an exceptional pass-catching tight end that could stretch the field and also pick up crucial 3rd downs, be there, be that security blanket for Baker or even McCown or Teddy. That's huge value. I really like Ian Thomas. Now, he does struggle with the block, in the blocking or in the run game. That's an area that he's going to have to improve upon. But the New York Jets, yes, we do have a need at tight end, but we have guys in the building like Leggett, like Bucky Hodges, like Clive Walford, guys that can, fill in for the time being with the blocking. Maybe bring Ian Thomas in on certain packages to help stretch the field. Or if you need that crucial down, you got to pick it up. He's going to be there. So I like that. And excuse me, one quick thing I want to throw in there about his growth too is I think this guy can be every down starting tight end in time. I don't think he's going to be that year 1, maybe even year 2, but down the line, maybe year 3, year 4, I could see this guy having a huge role. Maybe like a Quincy Enunwa, somebody who doesn't have that much time playing early, but as the years go by, as he grows physically, mentally, he puts it all together and he becomes an impact player. Come like at the late end of his rookie deal. So moving on, we're now up to round 5. We have the 20th pick in round 5, 157 overall, and I'm selecting quarterback Voridis McFadden out of Florida State. Now, this is a guy who I've watched tons and tons and tons of tape on, and I was actually one of the first guys to say, because earlier in the season, he was being mocked as a first-round pick, and being from Florida, I've watched a lot of Florida State Gators and Hurricanes games, and I knew this guy was going to be a first-round pick, and I just wasn't sold on him being a first-round pick. I think he has a tough time turning his head around, adjusting to the ball, but he does make plays, he does flash, and he's really athletic. So that's why in this scenario, I have him falling to round 5, late round, or middle, late first round, or middle to late 5th round. And I think this guy could come in and maybe not challenge, the 1, 2, or 3 corners, but maybe could be a nice depth player that can grow in time to maybe, if you want to part ways with Buster Skrine, maybe next season, you can do that if McFadden kind of comes along and kind of grows into his own or hits his full potential or ceiling. So McFadden, I don't necessarily love him as a prospect, but if you're sitting there in round 5, and he does have a lot of starts under his belt, he's had success at Florida State. Don't get me wrong, he's not some run-of-the-mill prospect. He's had some success, and at one point in time, he was really highly regarded. So, sitting there at round 5, I think you might have to take a flyer on him. I know cornerback is not really a need with Buster Skrine, with Justin Burris, Dale Roberts, Trumaine Johnson, Morris Claiborne, but maybe he can compete for that number 4 corner with Dale Roberts, with Justin Burris. So I like from a depth standpoint. So next up, we're moving on to round 6, the 5th pick in the 6th round. It's 179 overall. And I'm selecting, again, another Florida State player, linebacker Matthew Thomas. Now, this is a guy who can be a draft day steal. And yeah, Matthew Thomas, I watched a lot of him at Florida State this past season. He had a lot of injury concerns, but again, he falls under the category of a top-notch high school prospect that committed to Florida State. Now, he dealt with some injuries, knees, legs, this and that, but I think overall, Matthew Thomas, round 6, I mean, I personally would have liked to see him stay in school, but if he's sitting there round 6, it's a position of need like the linebacking core. Maybe he's not going to come in and be a starter, but if this guy's coached correctly and can hit his full potential, this guy can be an absolute stud at the next level. And it's rare to say that, with the guy sitting in round 6. Now, I know this guy might have fallen because of injury, and he's definitely not highly regarded as far as, maybe being a round 2, round 3 guy. But I think just based purely off of his ceiling, I think you might want to take a flyer on him in round 6. And he fills a position of need too. So, it could be a match made in heaven if coached correctly. So next we have the last pick in the 7-round mock, round 7, pick 17, and it's 235. Yeah, 235 overall. And this isn't really a position of need. It's not really a highly regarded guy, and you guys might actually not know who he is, but it's wide receiver Braxton Barrios from the University of Miami. This is a guy who I think he's not a traditional X wide receiver. I don't think he's explosive to play in the slot, consistently like a Jarvis Landry or even like a Cole Beasley or one of those guys. But I think I think Braxton Barrios, the number one trait that he brings to the table is toughness. I think Braxton Barrios is one of the toughest guys in the draft. He has great hands. He doesn't have breakaway speed. He doesn't have the huge height. He doesn't have the box out ability. He doesn't have the separation skills that, you might see in a Calvin Ridley, a Christian Kirk. But I think overall, round 7, if you could get a tough SOB that has great hands and can really help out a lot in the special teams. I mean, this guy was the punt returner for the Hurricanes and did an exceptional job doing that. I think that could be a steal. I really like Barrios. Now, I root against the Hurricanes. I really don't like Miami, but Braxton Barrios always stood out to me, and I could see him being there in round 7. This is a guy that, you could see a team like the Dallas Cowboys, like the New England Patriots, like the Pittsburgh Steelers picking up, and then him being kind of like a media favorite his rookie season based off of like 1 or 2 punt returns or something like that. So Barrios, I think he brings attitude. I think he brings toughness to the Jets in this scenario. And that does it for the 7-round New York Jets mock draft. To recap real quick, I have Baker Mayfield with the 3rd pick, DeShawn Hand, 8th pick in the 3rd round, Ian Thomas, 7th pick in the 4th round. I have Voridis McFadden, 20th pick in the 5th round, Matthew Thomas, linebacker out of Florida State, 5th pick in the 6th round, and then, of course, wide receiver Braxton Barrios, 17th pick in the 7th round. So that does it. Let me know down in the comment section how you guys liked it, and also prospects that you might want the Jets to target later on in the draft. Maybe some draft day sleepers. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.